So I literally just made the close range meta video earlier today where I said the AMR9 was, competitive in time to kill, but it had such bad sprint to fire time that it just didn't make sense to use. Well, in this patch today, that this is a surprise patch, in the multiplayer patch notes, they talk about how they changed the rate of fire. So we had an increase from 789 up to 833 RPM. So that's like a little over 40 RPM increase. That's a significant change there. It already had a 600 millisecond time to kill out to like 22 meters. And then they also overhauled the Jack Etten double barrel kit. This is the attachment that changes the way it fires. Instead of just shooting one bullet at a time, it actually shoots two bullets at a time. But the damage is significantly reduced. So I'm not going to waste any time. The Jack Etten double barrel kit's just pretty much not worth using still, even after the change where it works correctly now. It fires 2 bullets per shot, but it reduces that RPM so much that it's not really worth using. But this increased fire rate is a huge deal because it already had, if you watch my close range meta video, it was already one of the fastest time to kill without sprint to fire time included. If you include sprint to fire time, it would go up a bunch. But now I've got the updated RPM on TGD here. So if we scroll down and look at this chart, the AMR9 is this pink value. You can see it's now 576 in that first damage range. And that goes all the way out to 20.6 meters with the metagen build. So this is pretty crazy. I mean, it used to be a little over 600. It was in line with the other weapons. Now it's even faster than the other weapons, but it does have that slower sprint to fire speed. But if you look at this with sprint to fire now, so watch the pink line when I do this. You include sprint to fire, now it just moves up, and it's still, even including sprint to fire, with this dramatically reduced sprint to fire build that it has that I'm showing you here. This is with basically every attachment to reduce sprint to fire speed, or sprint to fire time. Now it is still faster than even the HRM9. So now, after this RPM change, despite the sprint to fire time being slower by default, I do think it is an absolutely meta weapon. It's just as good, if not better, than the HRM9 after this RPM change. It moved that TTK down about 30-40 milliseconds, which makes up for that sprint to fire being worse, because now in situations where sprint to fire doesn't matter, it's going to be way faster than everything, and it has crazy range. And then in situations where sprint to fire does matter, now it is still going to be as fast or faster if you build it properly. So let's go look at a build for this. So for the build here, this is what I would recommend. We've got the Tectonic Micro Integral Suppressor Barrel. So this has a suppressor integrated, obviously, so this makes it so you don't get on the minimap. And you'll see that this helps with ADS time and sprint to fire, which are the two things that this weapon needs help with. We use that instead of a muzzle just because it gives us some movement and some ADS and sprint to fire while getting the weapon suppressed. That's not an option for any of the actual suppressors. I don't like the iron sights on this gun very much, so we're going to use Mark III reflector. Underbarrel DR6 hand stop is an amazing attachment. Gives you a bunch of movement speed, hurts your tack spread and hip fire, but helps your ADS time and sprint to fire significantly. So that's a great attachment for this weapon because those are the two things it struggles with. We're going to use the 50 round mag. You can use the 100 round drum if you want, but it's really going to slow the weapon down. And then the Phantom Grip is basically a must-have on this weapon as well. It hurts your flinch a little bit, but it gives you a huge bonus to your sprint to fire, 20%. So this is absolutely essential on this weapon. So this gets it pretty close to, a good sprint to fire compared to the other SMGs, down at 146. And the difference between the other weapons and this, in terms of sprint to fire, like I showed on the TTK chart, is going to be about the same as the difference in TTK. So this has a faster time to kill, but a worse sprint to fire time. So that means that those two things are going to balance each other out. And in cases where sprint to fire matters, you're still going to be able to take those fights now with this weapon. Whereas before the RPM buff that we got today, that was not the case. You would lose those fights. So now it's going to be good in all situations. Definitely a meta weapon. Recoil is easy. 833 RPM, 50 round mag. It's a very, very good option. Crazy damage range out to 22.9 meters. That's it for the video, guys. Just wanted to update you. Check out the meta video from earlier today for all the other weapons to see how they compare. The AMR9 is now basically, in my opinion, tied with the HMR, maybe even a little bit better than the HMR as the top weapon in Warzone. So I need to get metagen updated, so it's kind of reflecting this right now. Metagen still hates it because it has bad sprint to fire time. So that is something that needs to get fixed because it's not the combination of sprint to fire and TTK is what really matters, not just sprint to fire by itself. So I think that's the change I'll make to make metagen understand better. Right now it looks at the two things separately, but really what matters is TTK plus sprint to fire compared to other weapons. So I'll get that updated relatively soon, hopefully. But thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.